Hey everybody, Barry Greene here for a live stream. I haven't done one in a while. Some things have definitely changed on my end here. So I'm just trying to see the stream live on my YouTube page. And just trying to figure out how to do it. I think I've got it. Okay. So now I can see the comments. All right, so that's fine. Okay, so like I said, it's been a long time. I'm hoping that the sound is good. That the stream, I can see the stream quality is good. But hopefully the sound is good. Okay, well, nobody's saying anything, so I'm just going to assume the sound is good. So, like I said, it's been a long time since I've done a live stream. I got kind of frustrated for a while because of some of the technical stuff. So, it seems like things have improved a lot on every single part of it. Like, for instance, my software I use to stream is much more improved, and even the YouTube thing is better now, too. So, yeah, so it's good to be back here doing this. I always had a great time doing them. So I hope you guys have checked out the Nika's Dream lesson that I put up on my website. I really think it's a great one, especially for more advanced players. There's some really good information in that lesson. I'm super happy with that one. Also, I've got a sale going on right now for There Will Never Be Another You, 30% off that lesson. Shit. Excuse me. I came home from traveling and I got sick. Okay, so I've got a request for Lazy Bird. Oh, that's right. And then ding, da, da, da. There's a cool ending there that train does. I don't know. I can hear the melody in my head. So. Shit. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'll play it. I'll just put my own ending on there. So. Jumping over to Ableton Live now, I'm just going to balance the tempo. So that is about 232. I'm just going to, it has a decimal point. I'm going to fix that. So 232. And this Bill Stewart groove that happens to be queued up already is good. All right, so let's see what happens. Here we go. By request, Lazy Bird. Can't stop it. All right, it's been so long I forgot how to stop the software. Anyway, I know I screwed up the melody. As I was finishing it up, I remembered it. That's it. So yeah, okay. So kind of a shaky start, but let me go check out, make sure everybody can hear okay, because this is really not a good sounding room, which is another reason I don't really do these too much, but I enjoy them a lot. Hey, Researcher 55 all the way over in Australia, Carlo Alberto, hopefully you enjoyed that. So like I said, if you guys have any feedback as far as like the sound, doing the best I can, technical things I can't fix, but balance issues I can. It's just like I said, it's a really, you can see in the video, it's just a gigantic open room. So Claudia Correa, chord melody and lines of improvisation. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me, but I'm kind of assuming that you just mean, while doing chord melody stuff, how do you kind of approach the linear stuff? Just very quickly, and I'm going to think of a tune. I'm hearing Have You Met Miss Jones when I'm playing in a different key, but that's good. I'll jump to that key. So if I had this chord, F major 7 for Miss Jones, out of the chord, just practice being able to get access to, your linear material. Even just a scale is super helpful. As you guys know, I've said this many times, I don't have any kind of classical right hand technique, but if I were doing So all I'm trying to do is just make sure that anywhere I have a chord, I have the appropriate chord scale relationship stuff and lines. I talk about this a lot in my lessons, where at this point, being that I've been doing this for so long, there really is, I'm not saying really, there is no place on the guitar that I'm not comfortable with any given chord. And it's a liberating feeling, because there's nothing holding me back. If I screw up, it's only because my musicianship was bad. But I have no technical excuse anymore for playing badly, But it doesn't matter. For instance, let's see, the B flat 7 chord, which was the second chord I played. I have this is all B flat 7 to me, and then B flat 7 here in this other position. But it's all coming right out of these shapes. Another one here with open strings. Another one here. Another one here. And that's it. That's the whole guitar. So that's how I think about that. Hey, I'm going to get up for 1 second because I'm going to put on a fan. Because if I have the AC running, it's way too loud. So I'm going to put the fan on because it's already warm. It's Florida, man. It's like, I think it's supposed to get to like 95 degrees today. So I'm just going to flip on the ceiling fan over here. Good, because if I do this with the ceiling fan, it would be really annoying. Okay, that's already better. All right, pensativa, I don't know, but thanks, researcher. Hey, Guy, you caught me earlier messing around. I didn't think it would just immediately just start streaming, so I'm sitting there and just having popped out of bed. How about Wheel Within a Wheel, Wynton Marsalis style? I'm sorry, Marty, I don't know. I know, of course, who Wynton Marsalis is, but I don't know. I'm sorry. And plus, I'm a guitar player. What's Wynton Marsalis style on guitar, anyway? What I have been working on lately is Solar. I don't know why we call it Solar. It's written Solar, but ever since I've been a kid, everybody's called it Solar. Agard from Mexico. I've been noticing I always forget bebop or complex heads if I don't play them for more than 2 weeks. Is this normal? Somewhat. I mean, the reason I'm saying somewhat is because the bebop heads are technically challenging and require you to stay on top of them in order for you to play them. If you're forgetting the melody in your head, that's another issue, and that's something that's not good. But if you're just physically, getting caught up or, like I said, not executing, at least in my opinion, it's because of the challenge of the song itself. If that's happening to you on standard tunes too, then, like I said, then you have an issue that you definitely want to work on. But if it's specific to bebop tunes, my guess is that, yeah, there's only a few I can play at any given time myself right now, unless I was preparing for some gig or something like that. I seem to always have Donna Lee ready to go, something that I played a lot. A couple of rhythm changes, heads, but really not much. Not much. So I think, yeah, it's totally normal. Guy's asking, what are your opinion about ear training? Learn to recognize them and name them, etc. How important you feel it is. I think it's the most important thing as a jazz musician. It's just flat out. Your ear is your most important tool. Like I said, once you get to a point where you have physical control of the instrument, then it all becomes that. Interacting with musicians, being able to hear what you're playing in your ear. If you're just playing a bunch of licks, how it sounds that way. So to me, that's the very most important thing, and it requires the most amount of attention, and will become like the most important tool as the more you improve as a musician. Because, like I said, it gets to a point where when you're playing with really good musicians, that the expectation is already there that you can play the instrument and you can know tunes, and you can play them in different keys, and you could play them in different tempos and different meters and things like that. It's just it's the musicianship part, and that all stems from being able to be a good listener, which in turn means that you can adapt when things are kind of fluctuating constantly, So Edward is already just agreeing essentially what I'm saying. If you've got them in your head, don't worry about it. Just I think it's totally normal. The same thing to me with honestly chord melody arrangements. If I'm not preparing for a concert, I might have one or two, like really, if somebody would say, hey Barry, play something, one or two that are really fully orchestrated that I can play. Otherwise, I'd have to prepare. I've got a lot of arrangements that I've done, but if I don't play them, yeah, they totally get rusty. There's no doubt about it. No, I don't know Casino by Al Di Meola, but I love Al Di Meola. He was one of my biggest influences when I was transitioning from a rock guitar player in the 1970s to listening to jazz. There were a few guys like that really were helpful to make that transition a lot easier. Because I remember, hearing Charlie Parker, my teacher, letting me listen to that music for the first time. I thought, it was like, God, man, this is terrible. All the notes sounded wrong because my ear was so unaccustomed to hearing that. But Al Di Meola, amongst other fusion-esque kind of musicians, really helped me transition into the much more sophisticated harmonic stuff that jazz musicians were playing. So let's see, I played something that was pretty fast to start off with the request for Lazy Bird. Maybe we'll just do that, being that I started playing it already. Having Met Miss Jones at a nice medium tempo. Let's see if I can do this without screwing it up again. So first, tapping the tempo. Of course I'm gonna screw up. I gotta delete the last accompaniment I did. And let's stop that too. Let's see. So that is 154 about. I'm not gonna bother with making it exact. It's around 154. And let's see about this Mickey Roker groove here. It's all right, it's fine for some live streaming. All right, so here's a little bit of Having Met Miss Jones. Okay, so that's a little How They Met Miss Jones. So before I forget, let me delete that. All right. Okay, so let me check out some of these compliments. That was awful. Thank you for the compliments. But I want to look at the comments. Let's see. I read that one. Song for My Father. Serenity. Carlo, that's such a great tune, man. I mean, it's been so long. I actually transcribed every tune on that record, not the solos, all the melodies. I'm talking about like a long time ago, like 30 years ago, a long time ago, because it was before I even started working at UNF. So it was probably like the early 90s, you know, but I transcribed that entire record. I don't even remember the melody right now, but I know the album it came from, and I just loved it. That's a great Joe Henderson record. Marty's saying my favorite thing is Great Classic Tune, and then there is a Coltrane version which he never seems to complete the melodic. I mean, there's nothing I can say about Coltrane other than it's pure genius. And he's got freedom in any aspect of this music. I mean, he's one of the most brilliant musicians. He can just play one note and I'm already done. I think he's one of the most brilliant musicians that ever lived. Guy, I'm glad you're enjoying the lessons. I really do appreciate that. It really means a lot. Really means a lot. And Manish is asking about how to approach counterpoint in guitar. That's something, I mean, a lot of the younger guys are doing that. You know, I would go check out Julian Lage. You know, he does that unbelievably well. Oh, I'm gonna get coffee on my keyboard here. But anyway, yeah, I go check out Julian Lage. You know, I don't really do that. I toy with it every once in a while, but man, I'm not the guy to ask. I mean, you can hear from my playing. I'm coming, you know, from a guy who grew up in the 1970s when it was very slim pickings as far as the guitar players that we were listening to. You know, it was either going to be, you know, guys like Kenny Burrell, Jimmy Rainey, or it was going to be the Benson, Martino, Joe Pass thing. But really, it's very limited. Now you have so many choices and there's so many directions. And what you're talking about now was not even a consideration back in those days, man. So it's just something that I never advise when you could just put on a Julian Lage recording. I'm getting all these messages that the stream is disconnecting, so hopefully, man, this is why it's frustrating sometimes to do these, and I have a very good internet connection here. Anyway, I'm just going to keep on going. Antonio, hey, from Italy. I was just there last week, and it's such a beautiful place. Next time I'm going to go when it's a little cooler out, though. It was very hot, like here in Florida. Ephraim Blass, how to play Coltrane change in some solos. You know, that's something that I do a lot. Superimpose Coltrane's giant step changes on tunes. I do that all the time, and I learned it from him. You know, you can hear him doing it on some of the compositions he wrote that actually explicitly give you those changes to play over, but you can also hear it in his improvisations where he's just like we would do it, you know, a tritone substitution. He was utilizing his Coltrane changes. So the key, the thing that it seems to be very, very consistent is the same way that we do these basic cycles. In other words, if I were cycling to the key of F major or to the chord F major, doing traditional harmonic, you know, jazz stuff, you know, we would, you know, find ourselves doing, these are basic cycles that we find in standard tunes, you know, and if I did another one, it would be, my thumbnail's like a little long, so I'm just trying to avoid doing that. So, but then it's a matter of what chord you want to put on top of there. But that's the basis for so much jazz harmony. Just, you know, fives of the preceding chord. Like I said, there's a lot of freedom with the chord qualities, and then whether you use a tritone substitution or not. So this turns into this, turns into this. The same thing, I could put any chord on here. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say to you is that we routinely do this, what I just showed you now, always. So the giant steps things, it's the same thing where he would always, it seemed like he always worked backwards, like I'm doing here. In other words, he'd have his target chord and just work backwards to it. He does it on Body and Soul. He does it on numerous tunes. So one way I like to demonstrate this is on blues. You know, I just realized I did not check my tuning. I'm a tiny bit flat, so I apologize for that. If you're playing along, that was really dumb of me. It's hard to just do this stuff by yourself. You think you've thought of everything, and then something as simple as that I tune my guitar slips my mind, you know? Anyway, oh yeah, so like for instance, if I were thinking about using it on blues, which is a really good way to think about it, because it's a song form that we really know very, very well. So my target's going to be E flat 7. So I'm basically just going to use John Coltrane's giant steps and cycle back to E flat. Now it happens, I've done this so many times, I already know it. But when I was first doing it, I just basically have to be doing the cycles. Like in other words, the 5 of E flat is B flat 7, and the chord before that would have been G major based on, you know, John Coltrane's pattern. But just to play it for you, it would be this. Actually, what I told you was incorrect. Let me do it again. So that got me to the 4 chord. So I'm playing giant steps, although I'm changing the 1 to dominant because we're playing blues. Right, so. And I did it wrong. Man, I'm making a lot of mistakes. Let me do it again. So as far as like the linear stuff, it might sound something like 3, 4. You know, just essentially just getting to this particular target chord. The there's a couple of places he does like a little things a little different. You guys ever heard the tune? Oh, now I'm trying to remember the name. 26-2. Now I'm forgetting the melody. Forgetting it now. But in the bridge, the changes that he superimposes over a regular 2/5 to B flat, he does this. So there's another example of it where he'll play the regular 2, but then he starts just cycling back in order to get him to the chord B flat major. So my experience just checking him out, it seemed like that was pretty consistent, where it appears that he was just working his way backwards using his system of that intervallic movement. You know, we all know it's based on the augmented scale and those 3 key centers and all that kind of stuff. But coincidentally, the tune I just played, Having Met Miss Jones, is the same principle. You know, that whole bridge is based on the augmented scale. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg on that one, but those key centers, like when you go to it's giant steps. Exactly the same chord progression. So anyway, in my experience, I know it was a long answer, but something that really interests me. I spent a lot of time, at least a couple of years, where I was transcribing many Coltrane solos on giant steps. At least 4 or 5. Of course, I did giant steps. I did countdown, but I also did things like 26-2. I did a tune called Satellite, which is really an amazing reharm of How High the Moon. and it's clever too if you think about it. How High the Moon, Satellite. But that one is amazing because it's just filled with just really memorable language. So I'm not exaggerating any of this stuff. I spent at least 2 years straight just working on that. So I do find myself using it a lot. There's a very long answer to that. All right, so let's see. What's another song I can play? If you guys have any requests, I'd love to hear them. I'll do my best. Man, I don't want to get up and leave again. My thumbnail's a little long. So there's a little chord melody, one that I seem to always have ready to go. Let's see. I'm kind of skipping around, and that's messing me up. Really appreciate you if you could maybe consider talking about a harmony analysis for Goodbye Pork Pie Hat. I don't know the tune well enough. I apologize, guy. That might be a good one for my video lesson series if I take a good look at it. And then Davey is saying, last video of Jeff Schneider. I don't know who that is, but you're making me feel like I should be checking him out. The More I See You, that's a beautiful tune. So was The End of a Love Affair. And Had to Be You. These now you guys are in my zone here. The standards. So what was the first one? The More I See You. I haven't played that in a long time. That's a beautiful song. So let me get a tempo that's not the same as Miss Jones. But it kind of almost has to be. So I'm going to have to do it a little slower. Like that. So that is 131. So this Jimmy Cobb thing is 132. Let's check this out. The only thing I don't like about that is that kick drum on every beat. Let's see if this sounds okay at this tempo. Yeah, I like that better. All right, so chords to The More I See You. Let me just double check this. Okay, here we go. Oh, I screwed it up. No, I didn't screw it up. I should have kept going. I'm gonna do that again. Where am I messing up here? Hold on. Well, that was right, man. Shit. Okay, the more I see, I was thinking to myself, if one more chorus would be too long, and there's no bass player to play a bass solo right now, so I just figured I'll just end it. That's a beautiful song. Oh, man, George Cole, that was so nice of you, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. The end of a love affair. Adam, tell me what key that's in, man. That's a great place for one diminish. Oh, it's a little tag. And now I'm spacing on it. Shit. The version that's coming to my mind, believe it or not, is Chaka Khan, because Benson is on that. And he just plays so beautifully, man. Holy crap. He's the most soulful ass guitar player. It's just amazing. And that's the version I'm hearing in my head as I'm trying to get through this song. But then there's a little tag and I'm spacing on it, man, so I don't know if I can do that. It had to be you. I could do, and thank you guys for those the compliments. I do appreciate it a lot. Thomas Nunn, you make it look so easy. It's a lot of hard work. I keep on looking here because that's where I usually have the camera for my videos. But I need to look at this camera here. I did, man. I put a lot of time into it, man. But thank you very much. But man, this summer, when I was in Italy a couple of weeks ago, I turned 58 years old. Man, it's getting old, you know? Getting old. But yeah, when I was in my 20s, I was definitely putting 8 to 10 hours a day for about 4 years straight. And that's where I got most of it, I believe. Now it's just be refining it like every single day, just trying to get better. Where I Go by Benson, no, I don't. Sorry, you guys. Wish I could remember that end of Love Affair, because that's really a beautiful song. I could even do that that would have been nice as a bossa nova. But somebody also requested why not? It'd be nice just to change up the groove a little bit. So I got to find my bossa nova. I only have a couple of those, but let me get a tempo. Let's play on the other thing I just did. So that's about 138. Let me find my bosses. Funk. Where are you, bossa novas? Uh-oh. Funk. Okay, hey, this. Here we are. That's good right there. Something like that, right? Okay, here we go. I'll get it next time around. Song for my father, Horace Silver. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Armani, how's it going? Alrighty. Yeah, let's see how are we doing on time. I mean, I'm good. I live in this apartment building right now, and I just realized that some guys, the people who work here, have to change the air filter. So I start thinking, oh no, is it going to come like right in the middle of this? But I've made it this far, so my good luck will continue. So if anybody, I can see, it's been playing for an hour. Wow. The coffee is cold too, so to verify the hour has gone by. Flamingo, I don't know that, man. I don't know that. But if you guys have any more requests. You know, this is a little unusual, but seems pretty comfortable just hanging out. So I'm going to refill this coffee cup. Not much left. All right, so hanging out at home with Barry. Turned it into a very boring TV series. Cantaloupe Island. You know, it's funny, Josh, because I was thinking about, after doing such an advanced lesson on the website, doing something like one of those Herbie tunes, I just forget which one is cantaloupe and which is watermelon man. I forget which fruit. So which is what I was thinking of is this. What's the same key? So I'm not gonna do them back to back. Is it that one? Is that cantaloupe or watermelon? I completely confuse those all the time. Take 5. That's a good request too. Let me see if I can put something. Maybe just some blues, just to kind of clear the. So that's cantaloupe. That was cantaloupe. All right. So, but I don't want to do them back to back. I don't want to do them back because I just did an F minor song. So let me just clear the palette a little bit, play some blues, and then I'll do that. I'm glad this came up because I swear I was just thinking, would it be a nice, just real simple tune to put on the website? Like I said, to contrast the Nika's Dream one I just did. So do you think that would be of interest to people? You know, really, it's basically just a couple of chord scale relationships. So let me know. So what do we do? Yeah, I'm just gonna play a little in D flat. At this point, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it doesn't matter. Herbie's another good one. Barbados, that's Charlie Parker. That was one of the first Charlie Parker transcriptions I ever did. It's wonderful. Stompin' the Savoy. Those are good. These are all great, man. That Stompin' the Savoy is such a great tune. So is wonderful. Let me before I commit. I could play most of the ones that you just. Oh, it wouldn't have mattered. George Cole was just saying, just kidding. Honestly, it doesn't matter anymore. The only issue is, can I play the head? of a tune in D flat. But as far as like the improvising, let me see. Oh. No. That's such a beautiful melody. Oh wait, sorry, it's wrong. No. I think that's it. I'll play it slower in a second. I just want to make sure I have it. I'm going to jump to the bridge now just to speed it up. Okay, but maybe because I've been kind of slowing things down, so maybe like something like that, a little bit faster than that. But I normally would play it only because I've been playing a bunch of these tempos. So I'm really swinging. So that's 153. I don't like this Mickey Roker one. Actually, that's fine. All right, make sure it's not too fast. That'd be fun. All right, so here's Stompin' at the Savoy. A slug of coffee. I feel like Mr. Rogers over here. Oh, loud. Okay, here we go. 4, 2, 2, messed up. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I guess I'm just getting over cold. Yeah, I think I screwed that melody up too. Let me just catch my, it's like a tickle in my throat still. Let's see. Armani's laughing about the tempo tapping, but it's great, man. It's great. Instead of guessing, you know. Man, you guys are really throwing it at me now. I have tutoriales. I do have a several giant steps lessons on my website, so please check those out. Barry, have you done a lesson on getting into double time phrases? You know what? I don't know if I have, but like in a nutshell, this is my secret. I'm not saying it's going to make you be able to play fast, but I'll show you how conceptually it'll help you out a lot. Just hold on 1 second, please. So far, we're working on like the tune we just did. Obviously, that tempo. The eighth notes are going to be nice. Etc., etc. So the double time stuff is going to be da 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 da, and that's fast. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I was getting like, probably I would say, if I was being critical of myself, like 90% of it. But the way I practiced it is I would just slow the tempos down. You can either slow the tempos down or double up the length of the tune. In other words, if I kept it at this tempo, I would just practice. This is the doubling up the length method, which would be. It's a little bit harder because it's hard to think of the tune this slow. But you still play your eighth notes, but you have to fill up that more amount of time, double the amount of time. And then after that, it's just a matter of just playing it faster. So in other words, by extending the form twice as long, you're extending so anything that's one measure is now two measures. And you still have to fill it up with eighth notes. So then when it comes time to play those lines, you actually are playing the amount of information you would need for double time in one measure. So that for me was a great way to practice, because it's not so much the technical part. You guys can practice scales and get your technique together. But to be able to play, 16th notes consecutively through the form of a tune, that requires having a lot of language ready to go and able to connect lines and all that kind of stuff. And that's the way I did it. So, if I were to do it on this, the other thing is to slow the tempo down, which for me is a little more comfortable on this tune. So. Bridge. So at that, I think I am doing what I'm saying is that at a slower tempo, playing 16th notes at a speed that you can actually articulate and hear every single note. And that's the way I practice it. I just didn't all of a sudden just try to play fast, because when I did that in the beginning, I found that I was just end up playing like a lot of scales, little scaly patterns. I have nothing to do with music at all. Uh-oh. So, still in business here. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful. I think I talk about it, now that I think about it, in the Pat Martino Sonny lesson I did. That whole thing. But like I said, that's to me is a secret, is that you're not, dealing with a whole set of vocabulary for fast stuff. In other words, things that are easier to play, like scales. That's the whole thing with scales. They're all stepwise. But bebop lines are not. There's a lot of string skipping going on, and a lot of triplets and arpeggios and things like that you might not be practicing in a routine way, like when we're just kind of warming up. So, again, playing the language that I know, just at a much lower tempo with twice as much information. So I probably could have said that in half the time. Josh is asking me another good question. I mean, I've done a lesson on Just Friends, and that solo you're talking about by Pat Martino, I think is one of the most important solos in the history of jazz guitar. It's phenomenal too, by the way, that I think he was like 21 years old or something like that when he played it. But that is one that's, like, I have a list of top 5 tunes that you should transcribe. That is one of them. Another one which is another tune I've been thinking about doing as a lesson, is Mimosa by George Benson. It's from the Jimmy Smith record, Off the Top, where George is playing on that. It's a study in jazz guitar, just that one solo. I remember playing it for a student of mine, and he said, "Man, there's something in there for everybody," and that really was a perfect thing to say, because it's filled with bebop, beautiful melodic stuff, a great blues stuff. It's so good, and I feel the same way about Pat Martino's solo on Just Friends. That is like a must do, you know. As far as, like, you know, your question though, there were only only two things that are like a little unusual about it. In other words, he's playing his Pat Martino stuff, just like we would say Coltrane is playing his Coltrane stuff, or Charlie Parker is playing his Charlie Parker stuff. You know, it's absolute wizardry, you know. But as far as harmonically, the only thing that he kind of does differently, if you check out the recording, listen to the organ player, because the organ player is playing diminished in the place of the 2/5, and I'm not sure about this, but I think that Just Friends probably was originally written with a diminished chord, where we put a 2/5 in there. Of course, we put a 2/5 in to make it easier as far as improvising goes. But now, modern jazz musician is diminished. It's just, you know, you should be as comfortable with that as you are with anything. But the right here, you know, most people will play that A flat minor 7, D flat 7, but. And you'll hear him, like, Pat play it a little bit, but the organ player plays it a lot, the diminished chord. So there's a lot of, you know, kind of conflict at that particular spot in the tune. Pat, there's no doubt about it, is overwhelmingly focusing on the A flat minor 7, D flat 7 sound. There's no doubt about it. It's all throughout the solo. But that to me is like an interesting part of that recording, because people are coming from two different kind of places there. And the other thing to me that stands out is the turnaround at the end, you know, like that, where they open up the end of the tune where they're just playing a turnaround. All that stuff, you know. And it's just, you know, G minor 7, C7, A minor 7, like a turnaround in F. But a couple of times, Pat's doing up, and then that's outlining G7 for the 2 chord. And it's a classic break, as we know. The whole solo starts at that. You know, so, but that's outlining the sound of G7, and you hear Pat do that a bunch on the turnaround, where he really doesn't do it in the tune. But it's such a common thing that jazz musicians do, which is to take the 2 minor chord and make it dominant. Here's minor. Here comes dominant. You really don't even notice it. It's so subtle, but it changes the whole chord scale relationship thing. And like I said, during that break is just as important. I mean, not the break, the tag at the end is just as important to transcribe as the solo. That's what I'm saying. Like, as far as like some guitar player records, those two, if you do those two, you're pretty much good to go. I mean, this is such a history of jazz in both those recordings. The other ones I think that I listed on there were a Coltrane tune off Coltrane Plays the Blues. Now I'm forgetting. It's called Blues to You, which is a great way to start getting into some outside playing, where, you know, reharmonization, where Coltrane is utilizing different chord changes to play. That was a really a groundbreaking solo for me, you know, to step out of the world of just playing right on the changes all the time. But anyway, back to your question about the Just Friends, that would be the extent of it. Everything else is just right on the money. He's playing dead on those chord changes, man. You know, aside from his things where he does the, you know, that kind of patterny thing that he gets into sometimes, aside from that, he's playing totally dead on that throughout the whole thing. So anyway, let's see. So Stephen, real quick, I mean, because you jump in here late, all I was saying was, as far as some real noteworthy solos to transcribe, Pat Martino, Just Friends from El Hombre, George Benson, Mimosa on Jimmy Smith's record, Off the Top, It's a Coltrane tune called Blues to You off Coltrane Plays the Blues. And there's two others, and I'm forgetting them right now. One of them, I'm sure, is a West thing. I'm forgetting, but those three are coming to mind right now. I used to leave that on my website, and I forgot. As a matter of fact, it's probably on my hard drive somewhere. I should go dig it up. All right, let me look. I'm looking at this. Some of the comments here. LeBlanc. Do you give private lessons? I do via Skype. Just go to my website, and there's a link that'll direct you right to. Those two topics are the most important topics, I think. Like I said, I'm not trying to belittle the fact that I've been playing guitar for a long time, and physically I feel pretty good about it at this point, But what I've learned is that regardless of how much chops you have, you can easily get taken out on a gig just by being blindsided by something you just didn't expect. Like, yeah, Barry, let's play. Like somebody requested, I forget which tune it is. Actually, I was going to play it. I'm moving back a little bit. Now I can't find it, of course. Anyway, what I'm getting at is like for somebody to say a tune that we all know, like Autumn Leaves. Somebody said, let's do it in D flat. That's the kind of thing that if you're not prepared, meaning you haven't practiced playing things in different keys, will take you out. So you could have all the chops in the world and you're done. And to me, I put them out of the category of ear training. And the other thing that you're talking about, as far as time feel, it's kind of the same thing. All the lines and language and stuff is meaningless if you don't have a deep pocket. And sometimes when I'm listening to myself, I feel like sometimes I'm playing too much on top. It's something I still think about a lot, that I really consciously am aware of, and I'm just still trying to relax, even though, like I said, it's really, I hate to say it, but it's really easy for me now these days to play the guitar. It's just that sometimes I think my right hand gets away from me, and it's something I have to think about, So, but time feel is so important. So the time feel one is very simply play along with good time all the time. Like I use the Drum Genius app. You guys have known that. I think that I've been using it now for at least 2 years. I practice with it every day. I did this morning. I practice it with it every day, and that's just the end of that. So you're always playing with solid good time. The other thing is, like when you're doing these transcriptions, which you should be doing, playing along with the recordings of the masters. That's it. Because even if you're playing with Drum Genius, sure, that's giving you solid time, but it's not teaching you about the nuance of jazz, how to phrase, how to construct a solo. And the thing too is you'll discover, if you haven't already, that different tempos require different things. When you're playing fast, anything beyond, I'm just throwing a number out there, like 225, let's say for instance, the eighth note starts straightening out, and there's very little room to negotiate placement of them. But if you're playing something at 130, that's to me is like when the true masters of time feel are really showing their ability, because there's so much space between each beat. There's a lot of room for you to put an eighth note in there. It could be anywhere. So like the time divisions are not metronomic when it comes to musicians. You take a guy like Dexter Gordon's eighth note versus Cannonball Adderley's eighth note. They're totally different, but both are like swinging. So you have to decide like who moves you, more than anybody musically. And you would think, man, I just wish I had a time feel like that. And then go for it, man. Put the recordings on, learn the solos, play along with the records all day long. That's it. That's the only way to do it. There's one other exercise I'll tell you, and I got this from Dave Stryker, which is to say that putting your metronome on 2 and 4 is a must. If you just have a regular metronome, 2 and 4. But then get that going well, and then mute the second beat. You can find tons of metronome apps for your phone, and just mute the second beat so you're getting, instead of 1, 3, 4, just getting. And trying to play in time with that, where you're only getting the 4th click. It's a really, really good way. I do it because it's a good way to keep me restrained, As far as the ear training stuff, the transcription stuff I just mentioned will help with that a lot. But here's a really, really simple thing you could be doing. The bottom line is this: take anything that you can sing. In other words, it could be a nursery rhyme, I use the example of patriotic songs, you know, America the Beautiful, whatever. You know, growing up in the 60s in grade school, we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance and sing patriotic songs before the start of the school day. Now I understand we don't do that anymore. But anyway, things that are just in your brain, and just put your hands on the guitar and just start playing them. Don't think about keys, chords, scales, anything. Just get your ears to be the primary source of where, you know, your fingers are playing. Another thing to do is say, take a tune you already know. Something that I played today. So to start from a different note and just hear your way through it. That was a key of D flat, and not think about keys, fingerings, forms, anything like that. Just take tunes you know and play them. And those are really great ear training exercises. Okay, so yeah, I'm super passionate about that subject matter. So, I wanted to make sure I got my point across. Yeah, guys are saying Oscar Peterson. That's great, man. I found the piano's hard because of the range. I transcribed a couple of. Not the whole thing, a couple of McCoy Tyner things. I did Chick Corea, a little bit of a Chick solo. But the range became problematic for me. I'm telling you, this is just some advice. If you're just doing this to get started, obviously the guitar is perfect, but tenor saxophone. The range of the tenor saxophone is very close to the guitar. Most of the things that I transcribed from Coltrane, I could play in the, in the same octave he did. Like when I was doing trumpets or piano, I found myself having to jump around, skipping octaves and things like that. But sure. Okay. Let's see. How about, somebody requested Moose to Mooch. That's one of those things we talked about an hour ago where I'm not on that tune. I don't play it enough. I could play. I could do that one. I could do that one, so we'll do little rhythm changes. So let's see if I can do this without making any mistakes. So I deleted the old accompaniment. So no, I have too much of a dummy. So what is that? 248.24. I'll mess everybody up. 0.24. Okay, so let's find a good groove with that. This Bill Stewart one is so killing. I went to school with Bill Stewart, William Patterson College, back in the 80s. Oh. Let's just do that tempo there. So there's some rhythm changes at 248.24 beats per minute. Let me make sure I have this set up right. Okay, so rhythm changes. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, so LeBlanc is asking me what kind of software for the looping stuff. I'm doing Ableton Live. I don't think there's any other software that can do what I'm doing right now, which is just to trigger loops and record on the fly and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really fun. It's not, I use Logic too, but more for the compositional stuff. Anything that I'm doing live, I'm using Ableton Live, which makes a lot of sense. Nope, no band in a box, but you can see me here sitting here comping for you. I just have, I've imported a whole bunch of loops from Drum Genius into this Ableton Live template that I have. And that's it. So I just pick the ones that are closest. When I tap the tempo in, I just look at the metronome markings on them to come close to the original tempos and just play. So I've got about, I don't know, I almost feel like turning the camera around so you could see, but there's probably not many, maybe 15, 20 loops in different tempos that I have ready to go. So when like I said, when I tap in that tempo, I just see what it is, pick a loop that's the closest tempo-wise, and just record. So no band in a box. And honestly, I know it's gotten better and better. I had band in a box, man, when I was a kid, so it's been around for a long ass time. So kudos to them, but any of those things, man, unless you're a really beginner, I just don't think those are any good for you, for your musical development. I think you're better off doing what I'm doing here, which is to learn how to comp for yourself, keep form, play in time, and not rely so much on loop-based accompaniments, especially when it comes to the harmony. The drums, I get it, man. You know, it's just like a practice tool there, but plus there's no interaction at all. You know, even like even though I only played 2 choruses of comping, once I've remembered that I did that kind of bluesy sound on the A section, you know, made me change up my playing and deal with that. Where, you know, you're not going to get any kind of thing like that on a band in a box generated accompaniment. And that's, like I said, me only doing 2 courses of comping just because I want to get to the playing part for you guys mainly. And then, but there's so much harmonic stuff that I could do on a rhythm change that I didn't even come near doing, you know? So I'm not an advocate of any of those things, to be quite honest with you. They have their place for sure, you know? I think they're great for like the very, very beginning jazz musician, but man, once you start playing, I think that could be more of a hindrance than help. No offense to all the creators of that software, because it really is great. Guy's asking, do you consider rhythm changes the hardest changes to play on? I don't. I'll just tell you very quickly why. Like, rhythm changes is, it's just a formula, 1-6-2-5, and again, if you're going to be playing like the changes, I'm not talking about like, like for instance, a guy like Joe Lovano is not going to be playing the way I just played now. A guy like that is trying to avoid all the cliche stuff, where I'm very much into that real bebop language. But it's based on some really simple principles, and once you've practiced all those lines and can play them everywhere, it's just a matter of being, of connecting all of it. If I were to do some of these things slower, so it's just a matter of like I said, it's just some real dedicated practice. I'm like I said, I'm only playing like we just spoke about, very, very traditionally on the changes. If on a gig, that would grow tiresome, and I would definitely start playing other things. Like one of the things I like to do is just start reharmonizing the tune, so I can get away from those changes. So instead of if I was coming out of here's a top, I'm going to get into some more modal, just some colors, off of a B flat tonal setter, and leave all that rhythm changes stuff behind. But the rhythm changes on its own is very, like I said, formulated. And I've got a really great lesson on the site, by the way, that would help you put this together. It's on major 2/5s. It's the lesson on major 2/5s, but it shows you how to generate all these rhythm changes types of lines that I'm talking about right now. And that's just, like I said, it's called major 2/5s. To me, the hardest thing to play are ballads, because, like I said earlier, the slower the tempo gets, the more of a musician you have to be. And that's just the bottom line. Playing fast, like I said, it's just a matter of practicing. But playing a ballad doesn't require chops. That requires artistry and musicianship, and that's a hard thing to teach. I'm up to the point now where I don't believe it's possible for me to say to a student, okay, here's what you have to do to become a great musician. My advice would just be to go listen to Miles Davis play a ballad, go listen to Chet Baker, or go listen to Frank Sinatra sing, a ballad. But you have so much room to negotiate each pulse of a beat that's where you are the most exposed as a musician. What I really find interesting, by the way, is like all the medium tempos. That note is the swing note is there. It's just so prevalent, and it as you get faster and faster and faster, it straightens out to the point where you're playing a tempo like I just did. They're straight, man. At that point, it's just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So there's no swing at all. And the same thing happens in reverse too, because when you're playing a ballad, let's see. I know. How about Embraceable You? So you're soloing here. They straighten out again at the slower tempos, the ballad tempos. The subdivisions are straight eighth notes. And there's much more of that, much more of subdivisions of triplets. That subdivision of triplet. Clifford Brown does this, in my opinion, like not better than anybody, but really amazingly well. Maybe it is better than anybody. But I find that to be very interesting. It's very slow tempos, you're back to straight eights. Very fast tempos, you're at straight eights. In between are all these different time ways of subdividing the quarter note into eighth notes, and everybody's different. And that to me is probably up there, like with ear training. Like you just said, you picked out the two most important things. Those are the most challenging things to get together. The mastery of an instrument, like I said, just requires a lot of discipline, determination, sitting, putting in the hours, and hopefully playing with good technique and anyway, I know I've been talking a lot, so I'll just shut up. Let's see what else we have here. I don't like iReal Pro either for the same reason. No offense, Francisco. No offense at all. But the accompaniments are awful. Are just absolutely awful. I can't stand that one. Sorry. The drum stuff is fine, but... And I know a lot of my students use it. No matter what I'll say, they like it because it generates those chord charts for them, which is another crutch. There goes your whole ear training thing. You're relying on these tools. Like I said, I think they have their place. But if you're on a gig, man, you have to refer to iReal Pro to get the chord changes to a tune. You just put your guitar back in the case and go home. You need to put yourself on the line and get beat up a little bit. Like Lester Young, I think, used the term "get bruised." You need that has to happen to you. So excuse me, I was trying to catch not catching my breath. I'm fine. I've got that tickle in my throat. So, how do you alter your comping when playing with vibes or keyboard? I just usually I'll just lay out completely, just not play. If it's like a real, not structure, but a real like a tune like I just played, like Stompin' at the Savoy is a good example. If the piano player is just playing real traditional and staying with the changes, the Freddie works great. It's a great sound. Obviously the wrong guitar right now for that, but it works great. Otherwise, I'm just out of the way. If you're playing with some really great musicians, and they all have great ears, and you all get on the same page. I mean, there's a guy I play with often from Atlanta named Kevin Bales, who's just amazing. And we have some like great interplay as comping instruments. But once I sense that he's really going out on his own, I just stop playing. There's nothing I could do to help. All I would do is make it worse, Let's see. How important do you think learning to sight read is for the development of a jazz guitar player? I think it's important. We got disconnected. So I'll just say that again. Like, if you're not reading, you're taking yourself out of all the potential great musical situations where people are writing tunes, collectives, and things like that, where you just show up. I understand the merits of it, I really do. But like I said, I have so many people come to audition at UNF who can't read music. So they suffer in every aspect of being in a musical community. It's the equivalent. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. If you can only speak English and you couldn't write it, you wouldn't be able to text. So yeah, I think it's incredibly important. It's a language. You need to be able to speak it, read it, hear it, all that other stuff. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Hey, Aubrey. Man, I was hoping you would come to UNF. Man, what happened to you? What happened? You should email me, man. We were really looking forward to having this young man here named Aubrey King, who's in Purple right now. Is a really incredibly great guitar player. Young guy from out here in the Jacksonville area. And for some reason, we've been having a hard time getting him into school. So if you are having problems and you need help, let me know. Blues at Moment's Notice. Maybe I'll just close up with one of those, because I'm definitely getting tired. Marty, will you be playing with Taylor Roberts soon? I mean, we were supposed to do something, and he actually canceled it on me, but there's a local venue here called the Blue Jay Listening Room in Jacksonville, where we've played before. All he has to do is call me. I'll there in a second. Yuri, the same thing with the James Aebersold stuff. Like I said, it has its place, but I think in the very, 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 very beginnings of your musical development. But once you can keep the form to a tune and can play tunes, I wouldn't do it. And like I said, no offense to Jamie, I think what he's done is incredible, you know. But again, it's doing nothing for the ultimate thing that you're going to be doing, which is playing gigs. It's actually a detriment, I think. Luigi, just very quickly, he's asking me about the Freddie Greene comping. You know, it's one of those things that seems so simple. It's very, very difficult to do. If you listen to the recordings, you're really barely hearing Freddie, of course. You know, the way he blends in with the rhythm section is just incredibly great. And you really only hear like one note kind of come through. So if I were doing blues, that's B flat blues. So, you know, I'm using these string groups, which he did, which was 6, 4, and 3. So the first thing I would do is just learn all your voicing types with that string group of 6, 4, and 3, you know. But again, it sounds ridiculous. So what he'd do is, where he's muting a lot with his left hand. His right hand is free. But only one note is really coming out. And like I said, I should be playing the Bravo behind me. But it's a very difficult thing to do, man. It really, really is. But that's the key to it. Is that there's a lot of left-hand muting going on, and he's only really letting 1 or 2 notes sound at a time. It's much more felt than heard. If you're talking about Luigi, if you're talking about the Freddie Greene stuff, yeah, all downstrokes. And your third question, your follow-up question, which these are all great, by the way, is as little as possible. As little as possible. Like the Bravo, you know, it's a great sounding arch top. It's not comparable to what the guitar Freddie Greene was using, you know, in the Basie band, which I think was this big Stromberg guitar, which with a larger scale. It was like a real large guitar. I couldn't get that kind of presence. So I have a little bit, but as little as necessary. George Cole, stop the tab. That'd be like a bumper sticker that like 1 out of 100 people would understand. And somebody say thank you, Barney, which is making me laugh. No, I do all up and down, up and down. I'm an alternate picker at tempos. I do different things at slower tempos. But at fast tempos, all up and down. So let me close out because I've been here quite a while, 117 minutes. So the bluesette, how about a medium tempo, moment's notice? Let me just go through it for a minute. That's such a beautiful melody. It really, really is. But I won't play it super fast. I just did a really fast rhythm changes. So it's so let me tap this in. Hopefully Armani is still online and will laugh. So that is 222.82. And this Bill Stewart groove is 222. Excellent. All right. So because the head is so rhythmic and the arrangement that Coltrane plays is, I'm not going to do any of that stuff right now because when I solo, it won't make any sense. So I'm just going to comp right now as if I'm in the middle of comping for somebody on this and not play the rhythmic figures that you would normally do if you were playing the tune. All right, so let me do this. And before I go, though, I'd like to say thanks for everybody for being here and asking awesome questions, making great requests. This really is a lot of fun for me. Hopefully, the streaming has been solid, getting good sound, and I'm double checking something. Hopefully, everything is really, really good. It looks like everything was working okay today. And please go check out my video lesson site, Barry Greene Video Lessons. You can try the site out for free for 7 days. Yeah, you do have to put your credit card in to do that, but it's run by Vimeo, and they're obviously a very legit company. And if you cancel, you're canceled. So give you an opportunity to try out. There's a lot of lesson material on there and a lot of written material for you as well, which is to me the biggest difference about all this is that, I'm just kind of rambling along kind of all over the place, but those lessons are really focused and again come with tremendous supporting material with tab. All right, so all kidding aside, let's do this moment's notice requested by Aubrey. Aubrey, I hope to see you, man, if you're still out there, if you're still online right now. All right, okay, here we go. All right, John Coltrane's Moment's Notice. All right, man. Aubrey, I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. I had a blast playing, obviously, because I've been doing this for 2 hours. So I'll see you guys soon. Last question, I'm using the Henriksen right now. It's under my desk facing me, so sonically I have no idea how this is sounding. But anyway, again, thank you guys. Whoops. Some of the hidden features of this Mevo camera. I'll do this again soon now that I see things seem to be working pretty well. So thanks again. See you guys soon. Bye.